Okay, welcome back to the video. This video is about building a bench PSU. So it started out I wanted something with some variable outputs for projects and stuff like that. I also wanted some USB outputs. So let me just go through some of the parts that I'm going to use. It's kind of a modular system. I'm not designing the circuit boards from scratch. I bought some modular parts, so here are what the parts look like. So at the heart of the system there's going to be this is the main power supply unit, and this is it's 60 volts at 32 amps. So this is going to be the main heart of the unit. Now to get my variable power supply, I'm going to use these. So this is a 60 volt, and this is, I think, it's a 720 watt module, and you feed it voltage in of 60 volts, and you can get anything from 0 to 60 volts, and that will take you right up to, let me just have a look, that will give you up to 12 amps at 60 volts. You can dial in your voltages and things like that. On top of that, I then have two similar modules but much smaller. So these are the Ryden. These will do 60 volts up to 6 amps. These are a much smaller, simpler configuration. These very small modules here. And then to get USB, I've chosen this. This is a 4 module USB-C output board, and each of the channels will give you 65 watts. So that's that one. And then I've gone with 2 of these here. This has a USB-C and a USB. I'll be taking the USB-A off because I don't want that one on. And again, this has an input of up to 21 volts, and it'll do up to 140 watts on a PD 3.1. We have a power input socket for the mains to go in. We'll have an on and off switch like this, and then we'll have this a smaller PSU. Now what this will do, this will take the 60 volts from the main power supply and transform it down to, I think, 24 or 21 volts, I can't remember, for the USB modules. So we'll use this to step down the power from the 60 to this. This is a DC in and a DC out, and you have some controls here that you can vary the voltage with. So that's pretty much it for all the components. So let's get building it. So I've also purchased this aluminium project box to house it all in, but I've realized I have a problem. This comes with a 2.5mm aluminium front, and I have to make a lot of cutouts in this to house all the plugs and switches and panels and USB, and I don't have any tools or equipment to be able to cut accurately and neatly shapes out of aluminium of this kind of thickness. So what I thought about doing, I don't know if it's going to work, but is actually printing the front panel with all the cutouts on my 3D printer. So it's actually about 36 centimeters wide, and it's I don't know, about 16 centimeters high. However, luckily I have the Anycubic Cobra 3 Max, which can do up to 40 centimeters, so I should be able to print it. I then jumped over into Fusion 360 and started about designing the front panel, laying out all the cutouts, and then ultimately extruding them like so. I then flipped over to the design to add strengthening ribs and the supports for the USB boards. Once I'd got the design done, I exported it onto my slicer, sliced it after flipping it around on the plate, and then sent it to the printer. So here we have the finished print, and I did a few test prints before I did the final one. So this was one to get the overall size correct, and then I did a few here. So this one was to get the spacing of these USB ports. This is to get the sizing of the switch and the banana plugs and the hole. And then as you can see, this is version 1, version 2, this is version 3. And then I did this one with this shelf on, because this is the board I'm using for the one part of the USB. And I did that, and it's got the holes here that line up with these. So that again was another test print. So I wanted to do those test prints, as this large print took about 4.5 to 5 hours, and I wanted to make sure it was right. So let's go ahead and see if everything fits. I got some 12mm standoffs because I need to mount this upside down because of this heatsink. And these, oh, I've just realized, look, I've made those a bit too big, but I can fix that. I can manually drill a couple of little holes in here, which I'll do later. I don't know how I've done that. I must have measured wrong. I didn't do a test on that one. I didn't do a test print, but so those will go there. And then let's put these panels in. So this is the one for here. So these banana plugs are the outputs for these. So we've got 2 of these, and they fit nicely there. And then finally the large one, this is the one that will give up to 30 amps if needed at 60 volts. And we can just pop this one into here, and that fits absolutely perfectly. And I think that's a pretty good job. Once those USBs are in, there, that'll look really good. Yeah. So there you have it. I'm really pleased with that, and that was so much easier printing it than trying to cut out all that steel. That steel cutout would have been a nightmare because I don't have a laser cutter and I don't have the tools to do that. I either need some sort of milling machine or laser cutter, which I don't have. So that was great. And as I say, I put these ribs on the back to make it nice and sturdy and strong. So yeah, the next phase is getting it wired up and getting it all into the case. So the first panel I printed, I did actually break. I broke those off accidentally. So what I went and did, I went ahead and printed a second one, and on the second one I actually put some supports under here, so hopefully these won't break off again. They're much firmer now. So we're just going to give this a first test. So we've got the back of the panel wired, we've got the mains coming in through the switch to the power supply here, then the output from the power supply to this main voltage panel here. So let's plug the electricity in first of all. Okay, so we plugged in, oh, the switch is already glowing. I thought the switch would only glow when you switch it on. So it's all off. Let's flick the switch. The power supply is kicked in, and now this is ramping up now. Look, see, there we go. We can hit a V set, I guess, and we can select the voltage here, and then we can turn this PSU on and on. So now we've proved that's working. Let's get the smaller ones wired up and give them a test. Then finally we'll get the USB outputs wired up. So we've got the extra wiring in, and yeah, you can see all 3 panels now are operational on the front. Pretty cool, huh? You turn on the voltage and stuff, so yeah, that's looking kind of cool. So basically we need to set the voltage and the current on this little unit here, which will power the USB things, and this is the voltage adjuster. Hopefully as we turn that, yeah, you can see it's up to 30. We want to set it to about 25, no, maybe 30 volts. I think we can, because that will do the PD 3.1 at 28 volts then. So let me just around here, and that will stop it moving. I actually should have bought the ones with a little potentiometer on here that you can adjust with a screwdriver, but unfortunately I ordered the wrong one, so I have to go with these, and there's not really a lot I can do about it. So what I'm going to do now, why are you whispering? So what I'm going to do now, I've got I've got that put on there. I'm just going to power it up again and measure the voltage. So power it up again, then measure the DC voltage across here, which should be, yeah, it's 29.9, so round about 30 volts I think is fine. What's left now is the final assembly, which I'm going to pretty much start to do now. It's a case of just lining some of these parts up, putting this panel into place, and a few other bits and pieces. So first of all we need to put the USB boards onto here, so let's do that first. Just like that, and they screw up like that. Now I'm hoping that when I put these in here like this, that the front ones won't actually need any screws in. I can just get away with putting the screws in at the back, so I'm going to try that first. That looks pretty good. So the first thing we're going to do is stick down the main PSU to the base, and we're going to do that with some double-sided sticky tape. So I'm going to put some double-sided tape on here like this, and I think we should only need maybe 3 pieces, because this is quite strong, he says. I just ruined it now. So let's cut that piece and start again. I think this is quite strong once it's stuck down, so hopefully we won't need any more. It's a bit of a bummer that there's no mounting holes in this power supply on the bottom, because I would have preferred to screw it down, but I can't, so we're going to have to use this double-sided tape method. But I think it should be fine. It's not going to be moving about a lot once it's in place. So okay, that's a third one there, and then, as I said, I'm going to just flip this back over like that. Like that. Actually move this out of the way as well, which is better, so I can move the front panel out of the way. I can get this sort of lined up as best I possibly can, and take these off. And pretty much this is going to go just like that, and I think that'll stick. Yeah, that's very solid. Don't think that's going to go anywhere. So let's fix that to the bottom. Now we just got to wire it all up, and this one has to be fixed. Okay, we can put this one onto the top of here as well for now. So let's just put some double-sided tape on there as well. Nicely there. And that's perfect. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to screw on the front panel, because if you don't screw on the front panel, it doesn't pull all the sides and everything in. I'll leave the lid off, and then once I've got everything wired up, I'll just loosen the front panel, slide the lid in, and we're good to go. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I've got this front panel here. What I'll do, I'll tip it up like this way and make sure everything is in, which it should be, because this basically, the front panel keeps everything straight and all the sides and things in place, so it's quite important. Okay, so that's basically how it is without the top on. So it's time to basically wire it all up now. So something I've just remembered I forgot, as the case has some metal, we're just going to make an earth wire and earth the case. So I'm just going to do that, and we'll tuck that in, and then we'll close it all up, and it's done. Job done. And there it is, project finished. Bench power supply. So we have up to 60 volt 30 amps. These are I think 60 volt 6 amps each. And the banana plugs here, and we've got 4 USB ports at 65 watts and 2 at 140, so it's all good. I just plug a cable into one of these USB ports here. Let's choose any one, and let's go with this one like that, and then I'll plug it into my phone. Quick charge on the phone, and just try another one of the 140s, and again charging the phone. So I'm really happy with that. Got myself a good bench power supply. I'll turn this one off. These you can't turn off, but yeah, pretty cool. I'm quite pleased with that. Job well done. Great little unit. So I hope you enjoyed that. I learned a lot while I was building that. I hope you did too. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.